Hi, I am Syria. And today the fascinating topic of psychology I am going to explain. Its title is Door in the Face, Why Saying No First Makes You Say Yes Later. Introduction. Have you ever said no to a big request, and then felt guilty enough to say yes to something smaller right after? Like when someone asks for a huge favor, you refuse. But when they scale it down, suddenly you agree. That's not a coincidence. It's a persuasion technique called the door in the face. First, they slam a huge request in your face. You reject it. Then, they come back with a smaller request, the one they actually wanted. And more often than not, you say yes. Today, we'll explore why this works, the psychology behind it, real-life examples, and how to defend yourself against it. Definition. The door in the face technique is a strategy where someone starts with an unreasonably large request that you're almost certain to refuse. Then, they follow it up with a smaller, more reasonable request, which feels like a compromise. The trick? You're more likely to accept the smaller request, because rejecting the first one makes you feel bad. Classic experiment. This was famously tested by psychologist Robert Cialdini in the 1970s. Researchers asked college students, would you volunteer to counsel troubled youth for 2 hours every week for 2 years? Almost everyone said no. Then came the smaller request. Would you at least take them on a 2-hour trip to the zoo? Here's the twist. Students who heard the big request first were 3 times more likely to agree to the zoo trip, compared to those who only heard the small request. The rejection actually made them more willing to help. The psychology behind it. Why does this work so well? First, reciprocal concessions. You feel like the other person made a compromise by lowering their request. So you feel pressure to compromise too, by saying yes. Second, guilt and obligation. Rejecting someone can make us feel bad. Accepting the smaller request eases that guilt. Third, contrast effect. The smaller request feels much easier compared to the massive one you just refused. It's like rejecting a $500 product, then happily buying the $50 version. Everyday examples. The door in the face shows up everywhere. Sales. This deluxe package is $5,000. When you refuse, they offer a $1,000 version. That suddenly feels reasonable. Negotiation. Start with a high demand, then scale down to what you really wanted. Fundraising. Will you donate $500? No. How about $20? You say yes happily. Family/friends. Can you help me move for 3 days? No. At least just this afternoon, and you say yes. Consequences. This technique can be harmless. Sometimes it's just smart negotiating. But it can also manipulate you into spending more than you intended, agreeing to commitments you didn't want, feeling guilty into compliance. Awareness is the first step to avoiding this trap. How to defend yourself. Here's how to protect yourself. First, spot the setup. If the first request feels over the top, expect a smaller one to follow. Second, judge requests separately. Don't compare them to each other. Ask, would I agree to this smaller request if it was asked first? Third, don't fall for guilt. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. You're allowed to protect your time, money, and energy. Fourth, slow down. Take time before answering. Manipulation works best when you react quickly. Conclusion. The door in the face technique proves something fascinating. Sometimes, rejection is the first step to compliance. Marketers, negotiators, fundraisers, they all use it. But now, you know the trick. So next time someone asks for something huge, only to kindly scale it down. Pause. Ask yourself, do I really want this? Or do I just feel pressured to say yes? Question for you. What's one time you felt pressured into saying yes after refusing something bigger? Share your story in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into persuasion psychology, hit like and subscribe, because we've got more mind tricks coming very soon.